There is danger afoot. I would not continue through the rest of this episode without your long neck rifles, boys. Here we go. I think there's gonna be some shooting in this one. Welcome back, guys. This is Not So Hardcore Harry with Xaelfas. And today we're gonna start with something we never begin with. A plan. We need some type of mount that will actually help us get from A to B and across a lot more ground without having to fly. Which, there's a good number of possibilities. Wait, did you see that? Alright, scroll back. See these guys over here? That rock had not loaded in. So it looks like that parasaur was flying up in the air and then just decided to glide back down. Go ahead, I'll wait for you. You're still here? Oh, okay. Well, so we're going to move forward. I'm going to go around the southern part of the island, heading east, looking for really any good mount will work. Even the Giganto, like that little guy over there on the left. Except I want something that's going to be, I don't know, over level 100, depending on the type, the species, if you will. Oh, well, see? We brought him up for a reason. He would work. A lot of raptors on the side. I'm so quick, I couldn't even see them. They're already out of sight. I know. Happens to the worst of us. I mean, best, of course. Let's check this guy out. So, other than Giganto, something like that. Raptor would be low on the bar. They can't carry very much. Their attack is relatively low. They don't have a lot of health. That's an alpha. We don't want to play with any alphas yet. We are not ready. We could kill it with enough arrows, but probably a bad idea to engage a decent level alpha without any kind of backup here, like a good dino to get away on or anything like that. Could kill him in the water. Don't want to Megalodon eat the corpse or anything. We might come back for him later. But I think that we're going to have to let that Giganto go. He's a little just too close for comfort. If I'd been on land, I'd be in aggro range already. Just the area where he'll actually attack me. So we're going to move on. I'm going to keep going eastward around this island until I find something worthwhile. Anything that's good at crossing long range with decent amount of stamina. And, if it's got any utility or anything like that, that'd be a good advantage as well. And I guess if I had to choose top picks, I would say Gigaminus. I'm probably saying that one wrong. Added recently, really fast. We're going to move forward here in just a second. But Terror Bird, Frog would be great. Higher level Frog anyway. Not like poor Mary that passed. But just some good examples. Anything with great utility. Stopping in for a blue drop on my hunt. I've been circling this bottom side of the island it's taken me about 20 minutes. I stopped and killed a Bronto along the way. Found a whole group of Gigaminus, but I think the hardest level I found was like level 32. I'm getting around Swamp Town, so you know what that means. All kinds of things out here. Well, anyway, we're just going to keep going until... Yo, never mind. So, let's hope we can find this guy. A lot of frogs out here. So, the frogs are kind of interesting too because they don't have an oxygen timer. So, even near water and things like that, like let's say they pull their little runaway move as you go to knock them out, if they land in the water, it's fine. They can't drown. I believe this is to fix bugs where wild ones were constantly drowning themselves in low-lying water because they just weren't jumping anywhere. So even just skimming along the edge of the island, I found 10, maybe 12 potential mounts that would be effective at getting around the island to and from, even if not have been the best species all around. And just nothing was even of decent level. Virtually everything was, level 15, 12, 8, 16. This is kind of sad, really. So yeah, this frog is definitely the best option we've come across in the last 20 minutes. Another thing, I'm not sure if the wild ones can hit in the water or not. I know that a tame frog cannot do its attack within the water, but it moves really well in the water. So try and get aggro and use the boat the best I can. Last thing I want is to get knocked out in the water. Yeah, stupid Mega Piranha. Every time. I think I hate those guys more than anything. Most people hate Titan Momnirna and the Meganura, things like that. The insects, the large insects. I think I hate Mega Piranha more than anything else in the game currently. And even though, as you've seen, I don't do well with Titan Boa, the Mega Piranha seem to come out of nowhere at times, and it's just random deaths. I wish that albino frog right there was high level. No, of course not. But, you know, the frog's animation is really, really well made. Compared to some of the earlier released dinos, they seem to have deeper textures. Now, I've gone ahead and repositioned the boat a few times, trying to get a good angle and where the little frog here doesn't knock me out. I got hit a couple of times when I got too close to a rock, and that tongue goes further than it seems. They almost got me more than once. Now the good news is our little lady frog here seems to be circling the boat, and I believe it's the exact same position. I'm not sure if it's relative to where I'm at on the raft or if it just can't get up here. It's making an attempt. Couldn't tell you. But I'm really happy for this. Even though, oh wow, yeah, there we go. 14 arrows? 15 maybe? Something like that? At least that have hit it? That's perfect. I'm going to reposition the boat and light up the raft over here and see what we can do. And we'll move forward on this tame. Alright guys, you can see we've cleared a decent, almost halfway up the island anyway. On the right hand side of the map is where we're currently at. And that's the furthest point we've been at. That's why I can tell you where we are. I've been killing some parasaurs in the edge of the swamp back here. They're getting stuck on those little trees and things like that, which is helpful. They push them down, but it slows them a little bit. All I need is a little bit of time to pump a few arrows into them and then just kite them a little bit and shoot them down. More manually fighting them than I have others. I feel like I've been very fortunate thus far too, because I haven't seen any Titan Boa out here, and they're all around in the swamp area, so it's a bit strange. I mean, I'll take strange on the good side of that coin. More often than not, I've got all kinds of nasty little things trying to eat me up. But, well, we're going to put up the warning sign for ourselves later, so that we can remember that this was once a safe area for us. So, we're almost done with our tame here. I've still got our little lady over here floating off in the water, and it's been an extremely easy tame so far. I've killed maybe 3 Mega Piranha that have just kind of spawned in right next to me. They haven't swam in anywhere. I've been trying to stay out of the water for fear of aggroing them from a greater distance, being at the sides of the water and things. And you can see I got these torches lit up just to cover the area. But I'm really impressed with how well this has gone. I've had some tames go completely awry, tames being eaten by other dinos and things. We're almost done here. We're finally going to have something. There we go. And she needs a fitting name, and I know she's going to last us quite a while. So, let's see. Something to describe a really good mount. There we go. Awesome Sauce is born. So yeah, like I said, it's gone incredibly well. I'm going to get her up here on the boat, and take her back to base, get her saddled up, and work on the next thing from here. Come on. Hard to get some things up on these rafts. They have a issue with clipping on the edges of it without ramps or anything. But if you're persistent, you can usually do it just fine. Now I have noticed with the frogs before, they seem to draw things in nearby pretty well. Here you go. Apparently so do I. The joy of Sarkos. Yeah, eat it, Sarko. See? She's already defending us. She knows her place. Check that out. 1200 health to start with. A ton of stamina for a frog. And weight is weird on them. They seem to take things in at a lower weight threshold than their actual weights. Like, to give you an example, something that would weigh 5 pounds might weigh 1 pound on them. I'm not at all sure how that all works out. I've never looked into it. But I can tell you that you can carry more on them than it appears, even though you don't use them for, mass transport or anything of that nature. I'm going to go ahead and get her straight back to base as soon as I can. Bring you guys back with the saddle or something like that. Look at her coloration, though. I mean, she may not be a princess, but she is pretty beautiful, you have to admit. Turn this thing around. And now the long trek home. Definitely one of the best teams I've ever had on a higher level. Imagine if that Sarko had just bit our frog right back there. Would have knocked our levels down by like 10. Alright, guys. Here we go. Buffalo. So you'll notice that the saddles that you give your dinos also has an armor rating and a durability rating. It's kind of interesting because there's no real way to define how well the armor helps, but once you've tested it a little in game, it helps dramatically. I mean, you can end up fighting things that are just what I would consider tiers above whatever you're on. Like I've killed Tyrannosaurus Rex with frogs in the past, things like that. Now the good thing, at least in my opinion, the good thing is the saddles currently do not have a durability. So they don't wear down or anything like that. You don't have to repair them like a normal item. I'm not sure if this is just a feature that's not yet implemented so that later you'll have yet another thing to sink resources in or anything. But it's really nice actually. I really hope it stays that way throughout the development cycle. But, worst comes to worst, you just keep extra supplies and repair those valuable armaments, if you will. I want to go ahead and get my armor up a little bit. Sitting at level 32. As we increase our mobility though, guys, I mean, you can do a lot more things to level and such. Mostly I've been getting them passively by building things. And rather than build like 30 rafts that I really don't have an intention to use, we're going to do this in a roundabout kind of way of some from building, some from killing. I mean, more or less everything in this game actually yields you experience. It's one of the cooler things about the game. And as it gets closer to release, I'm sure it'll be more balanced in the sense of, you won't be trying to level per se. Instead, you will receive levels as you progress in the game naturally. At least that's the ideal version of this that I see. And I'm sure I'll be playing this. It may be like a completely new run, a series or something like that upon release. But I'm sure I'll be producing something for it. This game is just too interesting. Alright guys, I'm going to get her saddled up. I've got all my repairs done. Got my new armor stats up. So I can't really explain to you how much this improves our radius that we can go down. I don't know why she's shaking her head no all the time. Yeah, she will teach her yes, like this. That's how you do it. Okay. So if you're wondering about mobility and things like that, just look at the arc on the jumps on these. I mean, and the stamina, the lightning bolt in the upper right, is what we utilize when we're moving faster and jumping. And I think you actually gain more back when you jump. So it's pretty awesome. And it recovers quickly unless you have something draining actively your stamina. So it's just crazy. You don't really need to pump any stamina on a decent frog. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of bounce around on this for a little bit, see how far I can take her, and I'll be back with you guys. Boing. 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 Bloop. So we went from the most primitive spears to bows, which are a huge upgrade. The bows all the way up to crossbows, which is just as large of an upgrade for a multitude of reasons. And now we find ourselves at the crossing line into more modernized weaponry. The long neck rifle is by and far one of the most useful weapons in the entire game, even as you cross into more advanced weapons. It doesn't have the fastest rate of fire or anything like that, but every bullet counts on this thing. It packs a punch on whatever target it is. If you know anything about older style guns, if you were going rhino hunting, you weren't taking a 30-30 out with you. And no, I've never shot a rhino. So the beer barrel was actually very tempting. I have not actually created one in the game at this point, so I've been curious as to how to best utilize it. But I feel like we need to do some hunting together, guys. I feel like we need something big to prey on too. So I'm gonna get some bullets made, enough for virtually anything that we'd be willing to take on, and we'll get geared up here, make sure everything's good. We'll take our nice new tame and our brand new armament with us, if you will. Now, on a side note, I found all this metal on a due east island section of island next to here, next to the starter base, actually. Now, it's a good ways up on there, so I'm going to have to build something up there in order to gather higher amounts of metal. We definitely need it for ammo consumption and things. Everything you make comes at a cost, so some things are almost never worth making, except for fun on videos and things of that nature, of course. So guys, I took her out. Awesome Sauce has been doing a good job. No, she's a little bloody. She's been, tonguing this raptor for some time, and don't want to get where he can get me. So interesting fun fact. These guys can hop right up the side of most of the mountainside where you couldn't path otherwise, and not even an alpha can path it. So we've been lining up over here. I've gone all the way to the snow biome and hung out over there for a little bit, grabbed some oil, grabbed some pearls, not too many, just grabbed a few handfuls and started heading back this way. I saw this alpha on the edge. Ooh. And see? Now, this is the closest thing to a fair fight an alpha and I can have at this point, unfortunately. They like to devour all kinds of tames, and Harry well, I had to change his pants a few times. But he's still alive, and here we are. So we're just gonna sit here. We're gonna try and see how many licks it takes. But these guys drop some of the better loot in the game. We need whatever we can get. I really need a better pick or hatchet, something like that. But we'll see what we can get, if anything. Sometimes nothing. But we get lots of levels if we kill it. So I'm trying to make sure we get the kill rather than our mount. We're going to try and move up a little bit in the world. We've got our primary weapon that you'll see me using throughout the game. Ooh, and there we go. You usually get, like, I want to say 2 or 3 levels from these guys, even at higher levels. So I can't imagine what Harry's going to get off this one. And Awesome Sauce is just that. Like, there's extreme utility. I guess I also haven't told you that there's a decent little range on their tongue as well. Crazy. They just don't do much damage, but, it can't be perfect. And that would be an upgrade. Currently. The weather elements affect you. You get too hot or you get too cold, you start losing life steadily, and it'll creep up on you. You'll be dying before you know it. So in some ways, the cloth armor is actually better than your leather, your flak, your recently added riot gear, a lot of that stuff. I have to check on the riot. I actually might have some amount of protection from the elements, but I don't believe so at all. It's more intended for the, full-out armor ideal and less about the elements. So I was thinking about going ahead and making a campfire up here and cooking up this raptor, but you know what? It's just not worth the effort. Yeah. Yet another thing I would need. And all that thatch is over there in the green area with all those lovely little predators out in the open. Nah, we're not going to bother this time. We're over by the volcano for this guy right here, by the way. And while the alphas are definitely a decent challenge, they really need to improve their ability to get to you in strange places. Like, I'd like to see them be able to leap up on rocks higher than your average raptor could get. Let's see how many levels we got, guys. Let's see. Oh, wow. Pumping that fortitude so we get some insulation even if we get more armor. I think we're going to keep going that route a little bit. Try to get it up to about 30. Wow, we got 9 levels off of that, guys. Unlocks quite a bit. We got a good little chunk of Ingram points to use all kinds of things on. Gives us a good amount of options. Probably not going to jump straight into Fabricator and Flak Armor and those things. We would have to use all of our current Ingrams and like piece by piece, that kind of thing. Just not as fun. And you know what? We know we're going to use the GPS. We need that more than just about anything. You don't get the luxury of seeing how much I get lost, but I'd be glad to showcase it for you sometime. I just don't think you want to see me moving around seemingly aimlessly for a while. And there's our visual upgrade, guys. But I think that's going to be it for this episode today. We're going to wear our cloth armor with pride. Our upgrade. There you go. You can't get a wife beater animation in this game. Alright, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, y'all.